Our love can change the world. So we are into February now. In case you missed January, here we are. In February, our top theme is all the colors of love. And we're beginning today celebrating Black History Month. So we're combining all the colors of love and Black History Month, and we're looking at how do we celebrate all this in our life? All the colors of love, all the people of the world. And I'm so excited because today we have a special treat for you. We have a special guest, and that is Eugene Holden. Eugene, you've heard once before here, maybe more than that, but we're excited to have him back today. Eugene has been a student of Science of Mind for over 30 years. He served as the World Ministry of Prayer as the manager at Centers for Spiritual Living Home Office for 10 years. He also contributes to the Science of Mind magazine with monthly affirmations and daily guides. He has touched lives literally around the world through his work. He's a 9th degree black belt in Chinese martial arts for over 40 years, and Eugene practices the art of Tai Chi, Chuan, as part of his daily spiritual practice, and that helps him stay anchored in his spiritual life. Eugene allows vision to guide him. He allows prayer to fuel him, and he is a man of God. And I am so pleased that he's here to share with us today. So would you give a nice, big CSL Parker welcome to Eugene Holden.
If this gets in my way, I move. Scare people. It is so good to be back. And even though I have my notes, I have no idea what Spirit has in store. So when people say to me, Eugene, I'm looking forward to your talk, I go, so am I. Not all that funny. Thank you guys for doing that song. And you're right, it was much better than the video. Oh man, because it's live. Soul food to go, soul food. So when we hear usually that phrase soul food, the first thing I think about is fried chicken, collard greens, some black-eyed peas, some hot water cornbread. Soul food, soul food. But here we are, and I'm going to get back to soul food because I have a different, what I want to get to in terms of soul food is being fed from the soul, being fed by the soul. And that soul is not anything that's outside of us. That soul is what is within us. And in the Science of Mind teaching symbol, that soul is right here in the middle. It's the subjective mind. It's the subconscious. And we'll get to that, I think. I'm still waiting for the directive from Spirit. But here we are celebrating Black History Month. When I was growing up when I was younger, it was Black History Week. It was a week. And then, now it became a month. The shortest month of the year, but it's still a month. It's like, what is that about? Now, I make light of that, but here's the thing, right? Is that American history is also, this country was founded upon and built upon the backs of African Americans or Africans in America. And there's so much that has gone on into this particular group of people that play such a huge role that we don't really hear about. It's an interesting thing. So when Rick and I spoke about this, and I sent him an email going, man, this is a challenge because it takes me from a place of pre-preaching, and I don't really say that I'm a preacher, but I come from a long line of preachers. So 20 minutes is just the introduction. But I'm going to get through this in an hour and a half, okay? Just kidding. And I was saying to Reverend Rick that this is a challenge because it puts me in a place or it was a challenge, it's not now because I can feel what's going on. From a place of preaching and teaching, and I don't really want to teach in terms of Black History Month, but it's so important because I've been black for a long, long time. Right? So it's not that I celebrate the month, I celebrate throughout the year because it's a part of it is who I am. So when we talk about the Oprahs and the Langston Hughes and Sojourner Truth and all of that, these are people that stood up and stood out because they were tired of how things were going. It's an amazing thing of where we are now, right? Where in, 2020? My God, February. What happened to January? But here we are, and still some of the same stuff is going on. You know, we still have, it feels like, and this is not the truth, it feels like the country is more divided than it's ever been. And I don't think that's the truth. I think what's happening is that we are just seeing what's been going on for many years. But here's the thing that I love about it, is that we are here to do our part. We are here to shake hands. I love that President Trump was elected because, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence you are on, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. The man is playing his role, and his role has been to stir up stuff. And this stuff is stirred up, right? So not only it's not so much that it appears that we are more divided. When we look beyond that, when we look from the soul food, what we get to see is that people are coming together more and more. Because people are now saying, I will not stand for this. It is an interesting thing for me to stand here talking about this because being black all of my life, I've been taught to not speak up. When I was growing up, I was taught not to make eye contact. Right. It's a crazy thing. And it just was in the DNA, right? Well, not the DNA, because my DNA comes from royalty, actually. You know, because in school, we learn as African Americans in school, we learn that our history is from slavery. Because there was something going, it's like, so what was the system that was put in place to have Europeans go over here to this continent and just steal and pillage and rape and take people from their homeland and go here? Oh, by the way, we're taking away your language. We're taking away your culture. Do you know where's that? There it is. That it was against the law for African Americans back then to learn how to read, which is why I read so much now. Number one, because I love to read. I love where books take me. But I also read because it was against the law for someone of my color to read. And if one was caught reading, they were not only fined, but they were whipped. If there was a white person that was caught teaching a black person to read, they were fined and the black person was whipped. Right? And so this was a law in this beautiful country called the United States of America. Now, and there are still some crazy things going on. So I want to go from there to, let me finish that thought up. That the United States was the only country known to have anti-literacy laws. The only country in the world. But here we are, and this is a beautiful melting pot of people, of culture, of different ethnicities, of different religions, of different ingredients for soul food. See, because the pot, the food would not be the same without your little spice of soul. It wouldn't be the same without yours. So when I talk about soul food to go, we'll get to the to go part. When I talk about soul food to go, I'm talking about us tapping into that which is within us. Come on, Spirit. Tapping into that which is within us to have us come up and shine our lights in a beautiful and gorgeous and powerful way. Soul food to go is about stepping in and from in that place of God. Call it what you want. I just got this idea this morning. Thank you so very much. The origins of the OG. The G stands for God. So we're going to talk about that, but not today. But I love that because it's the original creator that loved the world so much that it turned upon itself, clothed itself, and then named itself me, named it you, named it you, named it you, named it you, named it you. The Holy Quran says that, and Allah says that I have created mankind around the world so that we can come, so that you can come together and learn from each other. But somehow mankind in their cultural crap has taken this thing called religion and says, if you don't follow my way, then we're going to run you over and put you in slavery and subjugate you and kill you if you don't. But if you don't follow the way that my God goes, he's like, well, wait a minute. So if Yeshua Messiah came back today and saw how Christianity has been used around the world for all these years to keep folks down, he would just have he cut his hair. Or his afro. Or his locks. Or whatever. So what we are talking about, I love the song. Because we're here for love, 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 love. What if Martin didn't speak out? What if Martin didn't stand up? What if Rosa didn't sit down? Now, here we are, 2020, February 2nd, and we're being called, folks. We are being called. We are being called to tap into that soul food within us. To say, okay, who am I to be in this moment? That's my first question. Who am I to be in this moment? And then what is mine to do? Because when I tap into who am I to be, when I tap into who am I to be, that informs what am I to do. So it's time, it's time to let go of all of the things that do not work. Somebody said to me, a very good friend of mine actually, we were speaking about this race thing, and I was talking to her about soul food to go. And because it brings up, the pictures of, greens and black-eyed peas and all of that. She said, well, not for me, because I don't see color. I'm like, oh, really? And she was of the Caucasian persuasion. I'm like, so you don't see color, really? Then you don't see me. Nor do you see anybody else so we have to watch the languaging, and we're being called to watch where our consciousness is. So if we find ourselves saying, I don't see color, please keep in mind that when you say that, then to me you're going, you don't see me. Because we are all created. I love this. I meant to start this talk by going, there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And that is the truth for everybody around the planet. Call it God, call it Buddha, call it Krishna, call it whatever. But call it forth into our conscious awareness. Because his infinite intelligence was so intelligent that he created all of these varieties of people so that we can come together from a place of love, from a place of knowing that we are here, oh my God, to build, the vision for CSL is a world that works for everyone. I have to tell you that it took me a long time to grasp my heart around that, because I'm like, well, wait a minute, a world that works for everyone? What does that really look like? When I walk into a place and know that I'm being looked at because of the color of my skin. Or maybe not even being looked at, but that's my thought. right? So I'm making this stuff up. You know, I tell people that I am a card-carrying alumni of MSU, making stuff up. Because we make things up about people that we come into contact with. Judge not by the appearances, lest ye be judged. But here's the thing about MSU, is we get to make it up. Because we are created out of the spiritual image and after the likeness of the divine itself. So if I'm created out of the Creator, then that means that I must create naturally, right? So now it's time for us to really be clear about what it is that we want to create. People say, be careful of what you ask for. Why?
You might get it.
You might get it. More than likely you will. Why? Because there's this infinite intelligence, there's this law that says your wish is my command, right? So let's not be afraid, about what we ask for. Just not be careful, because being careful implies fear, right? So let's not be careful for what we ask for. Let's be aware. Just be aware. So celebrating Black History Month for me is about celebrating my ancestors, which I do every day. Now that's not ancestor worship. When I'm not worshiping, we don't worship the ancestors. We are paying homage. We are honoring those that came before. My dear brother John, who passed a few years ago, who I just bring to my awareness frequently and say, John, thank you so much. Because if it wasn't for John, I wouldn't have been in the martial arts. If it wasn't for John, I wouldn't be a percussionist and a singer. If it wasn't for John, I wouldn't dress the way that I dress. I love to get dressed. So I pay homage to him. So celebrating Black History Month is about connecting with all of those people who attributed and contributed to the wealth of this beautiful country. And I have to tell you folks, sometimes it saddens me to see what goes on. It brings me to tears. Because I'm coming from a place of God. Coming from a place of God. And it's like, Spirit, I don't understand the hate. I don't understand the animosity. I don't understand the superiority complex that people have. I don't get it. Because we are here for the same thing. Everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants to love and to be loved. Everybody wants to have a roof over their head and more. Everybody wants the same things. And so sometimes it's a challenge for me to stay in that prayerful place. Until I realize that it doesn't feel good here to be going, woe is me. Then I step into, okay, God, I know the truth that we are here for something greater, that we are here for something better, we are here for something higher. God is all there is. One of the things, it's an interesting thing growing up Black. And then being that spiritual leader that I am, because I love that. I've loved God since I was a kid. As most kids do. They just don't call it God. But then as we grow up, that child is still within us. But here's the thing, a little bit of history, that the African American culture is the only race whose deity does not look like them. Buddhists, boom, right? All the other races, all the other people on the earth, their deity looks like them, except for the Black race, which is a trip to me. Well, until you go over to Africa, right? We won't go there. The Spirit, leave me alone. No, we're not going there. Oh, see. Did you notice the flags? How cool is that? But that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And so growing up, having a God, having a higher deity look like someone else, was a challenge. See, because when I talk to practitioners and ministers in my classes, and I ask this question, how many of us still have a little negative energy over the word God? And some practitioners, some ministers will raise their hand, which is a good thing. Great, let's talk about that. Because God, for me, growing up, God was this white dude with a long beard watching over me, right? Oh my goodness. But then we come, and then we come to recognize that God, Spirit, the infinite intelligence is who we are. Is who we are. Martin Luther King said, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. Bringing the gifts that my ancestor gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. And that was Maya Angelou. George Washington Carver said, and this is for everybody. Everything is for everybody. Where there is no vision, there is no hope. So the contribution that we are here to make, not only in Black History Month, but in this thing called life, the contribution that we are all invited to give is to give of ourselves. Without any fear, without any thought of retribution. Oh my God, it was an interesting thing. It's really interesting for me to sit here and talk about this because I never wanted to talk about this because of how I was raised. No, you don't talk too much about your blackness. You know, don't show, because I had to learn how to speak a certain way. I remember the story where I was a manager of an optical store and was speaking with a woman on the phone about glasses and so forth and so on. And she comes in, she says, yes, I'm looking for Eugene Holden. I'm like, well, that's me. She says, no, you can't be him. I'm like, why not? Because he spoke so eloquently. I'm like, well, it's still me. You know, I was like, wow. But that's that preconceived idea. But I had to learn to speak in a certain way so that I could fit in. Not belong, but to fit in. So in order for a square to fit into a round hole, you got to cut some of yourself off. Think about that. Having to cut parts of me off to fit in. But that's not only because I'm black, but what about folks who are gay? What about folks who are trans? What about people who are just different, but they want to show up the way that they want to show up? It's time for us to allow people just to belong, not to fit in. It's an interesting thing. At some of the centers that I go to, you hear this all the time. All are welcome here. What you don't hear is that little subtitle that goes, as long as you do it our way. Everybody is welcome here, as long as you do it this way, as long as you dress this way, as long as you speak this way. I've been called into the principal's office, that's what I call it, at home office, going, Eugene, what are you doing? But it's about showing up. So when I talk about celebrating Black History Month, to me, it's not a month. To me, it's a way of life. And I get you, and I listen to lectures all the time of different scholars about the history of the world and where we're Africans in America or South America or Canada or China or India. You know, it's amazing to really, when you start doing the research in history, how much the black race has contributed to all of those societies. Oh, not to mention, don't tell anybody this, that civilization was started in, what's that place called? Africa? Oh, yeah. So you know what that means, folks? We're all related. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? That's a beautiful thing. So it's time to let go of all the BS. Belief system. I know you thought I was talking about something else. But the other BS is good too, because that can be used as manure for the new growth. So the bull crap can be used as manure for the new growth. But it's time to let go of all of the BS. And as the song said, love, 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 love. Love. You know why? Because there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life, your life, our lives now. now. So when we talk about celebrating people, we're talking about looking into the mirror. And when you look into the mirror, can you see me in you? Of course you can, but that's not the question. Will you see me in you? Will you see that person that pushes that button within you? Will you see that family member that you just want to just kick to the side because they're family? Because you know family's an interesting thing. But can we look in the mirror and go, oh, that's right. I see me in them. I see them in me. Why? Because we are all connected. Take a breath. That was the one breath divided amongst all of us. So when we're talking about celebrating Black history, oh, great graphic, thank you. Celebrating Black History Month, we are talking about not just Black History Month, we are talking about celebrating people. Not just black, not just white, not just yellow, not just orange, and not just brown, but we're talking about celebrating everybody. So this month, make it a point to look up somebody that you've never heard about. Go out and see the movie Harriet. There was a movie that came out a couple of years ago that got squashed quickly, and it was the story of Nat Turner, who led this rebellion, this slave rebellion. Powerful film, because when people hear about Nat Turner, they only think about the violence, but the story was about what it took for him to get there. The violent part, they only showed a snippet. But it was about this man's growth in his spirituality. He was taught to read the Bible so that he could give the slaves the sermon that the slave master wanted for them to hear. That it was God's law for them to be slaves. Right? Oh, it's crazy stuff, but the story is gorgeous. So during this month, read about something about Maya Angelou, Sojourner Truth. Just go, oh, okay, what is this about? And what that will do, my beautiful brothers and sisters, and you are my beautiful brothers and sisters, because there's only one parent, and that is God. So what we're talking about here is coming together to celebrate not only African American history, Black history, or whatever, but it's talking about celebrating our history as a species here on this beautiful spiritual plane that I call Earth. It's time for us to let go of all of the thoughts that no longer serve us. It's time for us to embrace each other. Oh my God. It's time. It's way past time. The earth, the planet, society is not only hungry for what we have, it is famished. It is famished, so we have the soul food to go. That was pretty nice when you brought that back, Eugene. I know. Yeah. Soul food. What is yours to serve? What morsel of soul food do you have to give? Here's the thing, there's probably one or two of you in the room that never thought about, so how can I serve? What is mine to give? Now, there may also be a few of you in the room that will go, but I don't have anything to give. Survey said. Because we are all here for a purpose. We are all here on purpose, for a purpose. And that purpose doesn't have to be some earth-shattering thing. It can be as easy as going, hey, how are you today? Boom. Now, you didn't see it, but what he did was smile. Maybe my purpose was just to do that. So what is your soul food? What are you here to give? What are you here to serve? Who are you here to serve? Ooh, great question. Who are you here to serve? You are to serve what's yours to serve. So tap into yourself. Look into the mirror. See other people within your face. Find out what your ingredients is for that soul food pot. And then take your spoon and serve. Serve it. It could be dancing, it could be singing, it could be crocheting, it could be writing, it could be whatever it is. But know, see, Spirit, you're going to get me in trouble here. But know that there's a part of me within you, as there's a part of you that's within me. Why? Because there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Love this guy over here. So that's my signal to pray. Because I can sit here and talk forever. But I won't. So, again, in closing, what is your soul food to go? What is yours to give? How are you to serve? And if you don't know, take it to prayer, take it to that silent space and go, all right, Spirit within, how am I to serve? And then be open, be receptive, and be available to what you hear. And then be willing to follow whatever that directive is. Let's pray. What if? What if we stand in the awareness that there is only one power? What if we recognize that that one power, that one presence, that one life is at the very center of all of life? What if we recognize and acknowledge that it is at the very center of all of life, and having no circumference whatsoever, we realize that there isn't anything that exists outside of the infinite intelligence that we call God, Spirit, love, and universal intelligence. And so recognizing that God is all there is and is present all the time, I know that all the time it is present right where I am. For it fulfills itself in, through, and as the I am that I am. And as I know this to be the truth of my life, I know this to be the truth of each individualized expression of God sitting here at CSL Parker this morning, Sunday, February 2nd, 2020. But it doesn't matter what the time of day is. What matters is now is the appointed time that we show up. And so I speak this word from a place of knowing of our oneness in God. I speak this word from a place of unification in this United States of consciousness. I speak this word knowing that we have said yes. We have said yes to showing up bigger, bolder, brighter than we have ever shown up before. Simply because we know that we are here not only for God, but we are here for each other. We are here for life. We are here for love. So it is in this awareness that knowing that this is already done, because we have said yes to serving our soul food, serving that creativity that comes from the soul of our being, that comes from our heart, that comes from our mind, that comes from that deep, deep, deep down in our spirit. Oh yeah. I know that this word that I speak is already made flesh, for it's the word of God. And the word of God is always made flesh. So I give great thanks as we speak our own name into this prayer field. Speak your own name. Then bring somebody to mind that the first person that comes to the mind that you want them to be included in this prayer, speak their names out. These are the names of the infinite. These are the names of love. And so I call forth perfect health, wholeness, and well-being for the names that have been called into this room. I call forth divine right action for the names that have been called into this space. I call forth the willingness to love. See, I know, and I know that as I release this word from a place of gratitude, it is gratitude that opens up the field for this word to be returned unto us completely fulfilled. And so fulfilled, we allow it to be. I declare that this word is so. Simply because our word is a law unto itself, and all it knows and ever knows is its own fulfillment. Or as Dr. Holmes would say, the word, of course, is the ability of spirit to declare itself into manifestation, into form. And so I release this word knowing that it returns unto us, not void, not empty, but absolutely and completely fulfilled. And so fulfilled, we allow it to be. From now into forevermore, I declare this to be so. And we say together, so it is. Amen.